I would say the first thing is that we need to match firstly on core values. A lot of that is coming back to the internal, who we are within ourselves. That's the
Mm-hmm.
feminine. I talk about masculine, feminine, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean being more girly or being womanly or whatever. It actually just means coming back internally. That's the feminine energy. I always say match on values, not on hobbies. We cannot shrink to fit other people's ideas. If you're not getting what you want, then you are resisting something. And like all humans, we want to feel needed. We want to feel like we're wanted. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about manipulation or game playing. It's really truly allowing people to contribute to us.
Welcome. I am Claudia Noriega-Bernstein, abundance coach, author, and host of the award-winning Don't Shrink to Fit podcast, which recently won the Woman in Podcasting Award in the coaching category. Over the past 15 years, I have the privilege of connecting with women from around the world, and I am here to share all the tools I have learned along the way to help you uncover new possibilities in your life. In this space, you will hear impactful stories from women who have walked in similar shoes, sharing their wisdom and insights. Together, we will explore your passions, reveal your inner gifts, and embrace possibilities you may not have thought were within reach. Let's grow beyond limits so you never have to shrink to fit again.
Hi, everyone. Today we're going to have a very juicy episode for all the single women out there that are looking for the love of their lives. I have Michelle Chung. Did I pronounce it right? I hope I
Yes.
didn't butcher your name.
No,
I
that's it.
and I wanted to welcome you for the show. I'm very happy to have you here because I have a million questions for you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
All the way from Australia.
I know, from Sydney, so I'm in the future. I'm a
There you
different time
go.
zone.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But I am super curious to chat with you because, especially now with all these apps and all
Mm.
these Instagrams and social medias and TikTok, and we're information junkies and we believe everything we read. And when somebody has a good marketing strategy, they can really convince us that the love of our life are around the corner. And I am happily married for 20 years, but I have three young daughters, and I could see how, two of them are in a steady relationship and one of them is single. And I could see all the stuff available for them and how scary it is and how easy it is for them to end up with a broken heart because they think they're finding this ideal person, but because everything is about how we show up, sometimes that person is not the ideal one. So, talk to me, please, a little bit about the work that you do with your clients first, and then we're going to dig in a little deeper.
Thank you so much for the question. Well, basically, I'm a love strategist. So I'm helping women to meet their ideal partner
Mm-hmm.
without dating. And that's the big thing because I think, we're never taught to date. I'm Gen Y, I guess. Gen X, Gen Y. We've always been very self-sufficient. We've always been, DIY, do it ourselves, look after ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
we've never relied on anyone else. And this idea of now dating, especially if you're, a bit older, around 40s, 50s, even the young ones, we're told that, you know, relationships are a certain way and you meet somebody, you fall in love, you get married happily ever after. So
Right.
even yourself, as you told me, you've had previous marriages, and I was divorced in my mid 30s, and it was supposed to be, life after that continues, and that's it. But I had a major wake up call. I realized my marriage wasn't where I was supposed to be because I'm ambitious. I'm a high achieving woman as well, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do things with my life. And it wasn't that he wasn't good enough or anything like that, but we just simply matched together because I used to train martial arts, so we met at my academy. And a lot of us women, we do meet our partners in
Mm-hmm.
life, at work, at university, you introduce to somebody and you have this criteria and checklist and you're like, oh yeah, great job, great looking, good in bed, all these nice things. And when you're younger,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of fits the bill. But I feel like when you get a bit older and this time around, you've had relationships, you've had divorces, and you go, I don't want that. I don't want that anymore. I want something different. I want something that fulfills me. And I feel like a lot of women, and especially I guess, in this part of humanity now, we're
Mm-hmm.
coming into an awakening, more of a consciousness. Women are leading the way. We're emotionally in touch. We have a high EQ. We
Yes.
want something else that is not
Mm-hmm.
just the superficial or external fulfillment. We want to be fulfilled. We want to grow. And I feel like the problem is a lot of women are seeing what's out there. The men are not, looking after themselves, or maybe they're not financially stable at an age where they feel like they should be. And
Mm-hmm.
especially if you are yourself, you want your partner to be financially stable as well. And we
Right.
have all these, expectations that we want, and we feel like the men out there are not meeting up to that. Now, not
Mm-hmm.
saying that everyone is like that, but when you're there dating and that's all you see, of course you're going to be exasperated and feel like giving up. But I guess you know, the real trick, I would say, the first thing is that we need to match firstly on core values. So that's
Yeah.
something that I became very, adamant about, because, I fell into my first relationships and they were great. They were kind of the training ground in your teens, 20s, and maybe 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn and grow a lot. But, when you come round to actually choosing a partner and not just falling into a relationship, what needs to be your priorities and your compass? It needs to be your values, because we choose our careers where we live, our friends, on our
Mm-hmm.
values. I even left my design career, 18 years in manufacturing, because I didn't feel aligned. I was designing landfill. I'm
Mm-hmm.
environmentally, very, wanting to support the environment and make sure we have a clean world. So that kind of job didn't fit my values. And it was the same. My marriage didn't fit my values anymore. So we need to firstly look at that and really identify what really aligns with us. And a lot of that is coming back to the internal, who we are within ourselves. That's the
Mm-hmm.
feminine. I talk about masculine, feminine, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean being more girly or being womanly or whatever. It actually just means coming back internally. That's the feminine energy, and taking a look at who you really are and what kind of partner you want to attract from your soul, which is the
Mm-hmm.
soulmate, and not from your
Mm-hmm.
external armor that we've built up over our years of being, traumatized or having these very, emotionally strong experiences. We want to attract someone from our heart and soul, really.
I agree with you 100%. I think it's very important to get to know ourselves and be honest and have clarity in what it is that we really want. Not what our parents want or our friends want, or, sometimes women date somebody because they work with them, because they see them every day. So those are like circumstantial relationships. But then when you pull that person out of that environment, it's not a match anymore. So
No.
yes, you're not going to have that perfect 10 with all the qualities and everything that you want. That sometimes I tell my kids that, you get a 7, you're lucky. Make sure that in those 7, qualities or requirements or policies that you have, your non-negotiables are in those
100%.
7. And then the other 3, well, you know what? So what? He leaves his shoes at the entrance of the door. So what if he's not organized? Those are minor things that you can put up with, that you can tolerate, because you already have those other 7 qualities in that person that are a non-negotiable. But when you shrink to fit, just because everybody says that this is the perfect guy for you, or you're concerned about what the other people are going to think about it, or you don't want to disappoint somebody, and you choose to stay in a relationship that doesn't fulfill you, you're doing a disservice for yourself, because at the end of the day, you deserve to have somebody that is the closest to the 10th qualities or requirements that you have. You deserve to have somebody that think that you're the best thing that that happen to them, regardless if you're a man or a woman, you deserve to be with somebody that value you, make you feel wanted and worth it. And oftentimes we settle because number one, we don't know any better. Number two, we don't trust that we can get any better. And number three, we're already in that relationship. In Spanish, we say, and you will understand this because you speak Spanish, la
Sí, sí.
costumbre es más fuerte que el amor. Meaning when you're
Hmm.
accustomed to something, and that feeling is stronger actually
Stronger than
than the
love.
love that you might have. You can feel appreciation and kindness for that person, but if you don't have that passion, you don't have that attraction, you know that person is just not for you. And you staying in that relationship is like saying yes to the world and not to yourself.
100%. 100%. Oh man, I have a really good example of that from my own life. So I always say match on values, not on hobbies. Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the time when you're dating, you're like, oh, he likes hiking as well. Or I'm just going to go to a hiking meetup and meet my guy there. I mean, it's the
Mm-hmm.
same like when I met my partner from martial arts. We had a common hobby, but that hobby can expire. Like a classic example, I have two, but the first one is from my current partner who I manifested, and
Mm-hmm.
manifested actually just means to make happen, make into reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just trying to bring out the woo woo and make it tangible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my checklist or my priorities for my relationship was, and these are my core values: personal growth, spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
um, just I guess efficiency, because I don't want to waste a lot of time on things that are not serving me, and entrepreneurialism, because I love business and I love growing and changing. And at the time, my hobbies were Latin dancing. I was obsessed with bachata, kizomba, souk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Salsa's not really my thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. And I was like, I wish my partner would, dance as well. But when it really came down to it and I was doing my actual manifestation work, that wasn't even on the list. And so then when I met my partner, I was like, oh, I forgot about that dancing thing because it wasn't even like a big deal anymore. I kind
Right.
of grown out of it. My energy, my
Mm-hmm.
vibration level had changed. And I said to him, so do you like dancing? Because I like dancing. And he's like, yeah, I'm a really good dancer. And by the way, we met in Spain, in Barcelona, but he's not
Uh-huh.
Spanish. He's from Belgium. And he said, yeah, I love dancing. I'm really good at dancing. I was like, oh, cool. What kind of dancing? And he said, electronic. And I was like,
Oh
oh,
my goodness.
yeah, madre mia. I was like, oh, okay, different kind of dancing. But
Right.
exactly what you said, it wasn't a priority.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make a difference to my life anymore. I can actually go dancing with other men or with my friends. He doesn't mind. He's not
Mm-hmm.
controlling of that. And another example was I was before I met Raf and I was in Spain. I was actually dating a Spanish guy, and before I did any of this, work, this inner work, we had very much a lot of things in common. He's also an artist. I also
Mm-hmm.
am a portrait painter.
I know, and your
He's
work is beautiful, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it's a hidden talent. Not many people know about me, but
Mm-hmm.
it's for my own creativity. He is very fit, very attractive. I'm also into fitness, and he loved cats. I love cats. He
Mm-hmm.
had his own
Mm-hmm.
place, so it was on the outside. He's a very good catch. He's tall and
Mm-hmm.
attractive, good values. Honest, all those good things. And I'm like, he's a perfect guy, but not for me. He's the
Right.
perfect guy for a not for me person. I'm like, I wish I could be someone different. I wish I could shrink to fit and be that woman who could be with a guy like this. And like my
Mm-hmm.
ex-husband, also an amazing guy. And I wish I could have shrunk to be, with someone like them. And there are many of these guys out there, but he was
Right.
just not for me. And we both knew it. We both said, you're more ambitious than I am, and he wanted to make it work because I inspired him, but I wanted to be inspired as well. I wanted to have someone who could be smarter than me in business and teach me, and I could grow. So that was one of the things that I had to prioritize for myself. So you're absolutely right. We cannot shrink to fit other people's ideas.
And I think manifestation, I teach manifestation. I'm an inner abundance coach and I teach manifestation. And one of the exercise that I teach my clients is to really be specific when you write down all the characteristic that that avatar has to have. So you
Yes.
know exactly what you're putting out there for the universe so you can attract that person. But aside of just visualization and writing down the qualities, is there an extra step that the audience that is listening to you right now should take to manifest that person that they aspire to be with?
Yes, 100%. That's a great question. What I've found in all the work I've been doing and all the women I've been working with is that there are actually three steps, but
Mm-hmm.
also um, you can say affirmations, you can do your manifestation work, you can do all that repeatedly and still got no results. And why is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of people go through this and then they're just like, oh, manifestation doesn't work. So you have to think of manifestation like gravity. It's there, it's invisible, it's a scientific law and it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So saying that manifestation doesn't work just because it doesn't hasn't worked for you yet. We need to kind of avoid that. We just need to understand how does it actually work. So what I've
Mm-hmm.
found when your manifestations are not working, and this is what I learned from a business coach back in the day when I was single and I was listening to a lot of business podcasts. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
translatable, by the way. Business, relationships, love. And I loved how you said earlier, your marketing around relationships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's all very aligned. He said, this mentor, David Nagel, he said, if you're not getting what you want, then you are resisting something.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a huge breakthrough because, I was like, I was taking all the actions, I was going on dates, I was like actively on, apps, scrolling, doing the work. This is all the masculine, this is all the external energy output, right? And then it's like, oh man, you can do all of that and still not get results. And the same with your business. You can do all the good things, you can do all the marketing and still do all that and not get any results. And what is really blocking you? It's resistance. This is the main key thing that I've identified. So that is really the first step. And if you're finding that you are not getting those results, it's either, well, like I said, there's the three things. There's three things that block you and the three steps that you actually have to do. The three things that
Mm-hmm.
block you is firstly that resistance, which you can actually do something about, and the other
Right.
two things that you cannot do anything about, which I've
Mm-hmm.
identified as karma, because I don't know if everyone believes it,
Yeah.
but I certainly do. It's like the past
Yeah.
lives have an effect on what's happening in your current life.
Even the things that we have done early in our life, that
Exactly.
comes back and it's like, okay, I get it. We're
Yeah.
even now. you know?
Yeah, it's the energy output. It's you reap
Yeah.
what you sow, right? And it's the
Mm-hmm.
what you give out, you get back forth.
Yeah.
And so, that's something you can't do anything about. You kind of got to just play that out, or maybe you could do something to balance that out even.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
the second thing that stops you is timing as well, divine timing. And this is what my partner Raf is always saying about sometimes you can't hurry that process. Although
Right.
releasing those blocks, that resistance can hurry the
Mm-hmm.
process. But at the end of the day, I still had to wait 5 years to meet my partner because he was still on his journey. He was still married
Right.
at one point, he got divorced, and then he was single again, and then he was ready to go out and meet somebody. And for me, want of trying to hurry the process, because we're impatient, we want to get things done, we want to move quickly. There was no way to hurry that process for your soulmate. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like the best thing you can do is just be on your path, following your life purpose, whether it's your career or as a mum that you're, growing your family, you're nurturing, and that's your purpose as well.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own individual purpose. So following that, and like you said before, coming within ourselves and following our path authentically,
Mm-hmm.
um, that will actually lead us to the path where our soulmate will be waiting. And so
Yeah.
that's a really beautiful thing. It's like, what do I do? What do I do? You go within, so that inner abundance, intuition,
Mm-hmm.
and the answers will be there. So that's really the three-step process that I recommend is firstly, releasing that resistance, that can be done
and
through,
finding out what the resistance is, like really
exactly,
look inside yourself and
specific.
say, okay, what it is that is holding me back, because when we resist persist, and we can fight it all we want, but that is going to come back over and over and over again until we pinpoint it and said, okay, this is what is holding me back. And it happened in business too. I
Oh,
you know
yes.
I work with moms. The majority of my clients are moms, and sometimes they say, I'm stuck. Well, that's the label. Let's find out really what's holding you back. Where
Yeah.
is your fear? Scarcity comes from the word, scare. The first letters of scarcity and being scared are the same. So what are you afraid of? Sometimes, in my experience, people don't find the partner they're looking for because they're actually scared of getting
This is
hurt.
right. Exactly. You've
So
hit
they
it on
put
the
in the
head.
block before even the person is available for them. The
Yes.
energy that they're putting out is like, I am not available. They could be in the bar, they can be in a party, they can look like $1 million, but the energy they're putting out is, I'm not available because I'm scared. So the person, your soulmate, can be in the same room, is not going to feel attractive to you because the message that that person is receiving is, she's not available.
Hey, Mama, if you're feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, or like you have lost yourself in the chaos of motherhood, I see you and you are not alone. I know how heavy it feels to be pulled in every direction, running on empty, and wondering why sometimes you just can't push through. But hear me when I say this: you are not failing, you're just carrying too much, and it's okay to need support. I have worked with so many moms who feel the same way, tired, drained, and struggling with guilt for not being able to do it all. That's why I created my coaching program, to help moms like you break free from burnout, get your energy back, and actually enjoy life again. Whether it's a one-on-one coaching, my transformational programs, I have options that fit your life. DM me balance or visit my website to schedule a free discovery call. All the links are in the description of this show. So let's figure it out together.
100%. 100%. You've explained that so, so well. And it's that, have you ever been somewhere and someone's like, "Hey, look, did you see that?" And you're like, "No, I did not see that." And you literally do not see it because it's like your energy blocking. It's not something's wrong with your eyes. It is
Right.
literally your mind blocking you from actually even seeing that opportunity
Mm-hmm.
or that
Mm-hmm.
that possibility. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say somebody manifests this ideal partner, but let's say find this person that is kind, that is loving, that is respectful, family oriented, um, caters to her, is attentive, all of that, but doesn't have the same drive. Like,
Mm,
it doesn't have that ambition. Do you
mm,
think that is a deal breaker, or do you think we can um, inspire our partners to
mm.
have that drive?
That is a great question. I feel like, well, I've heard this and it's probably quite true, but women tend to want to find the potential in other people, especially their partner. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we're always trying to change our partner. We're always like, "Oh, but you could be so much more. You could do this." And we really try to inspire our partners to be like great. That's what men want
Mm-hmm.
from women, right? To be and they say in history, many of the greatest men, sorry, in history, the most successful men in history had the love of their life, the wife,
They have a great
supporting and
woman next to
inspiring.
them,
A great
right?
woman, behind every great man is a great woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is part of our role as a partner, right? And it's been also proven that as soon as the man strays or has an affair or cheats or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and starts thinking in a physical manner, trying to satisfy those needs, his greatness goes down, because it's that true love that's really support, that soul connection, that is actually making him great, right?
Right.
On the flip side, men apparently need, want, or prefer women how they first met them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an opposite kind of thing, and it's like, oh, but you've let go of yourself, you've put on weight, and you're looking after the kids all the time. You're not giving me attention. This is the complaints that married men have when they start
Mm-hmm.
to stray, right? If they don't get those external needs fulfilled. So their idea of their perfect woman is, I met you like this, and why have you changed? Why do you now suddenly look different and act
Right.
differently? So it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like a miscorrelation. And
Right.
for women, if that's really important for you, that your partner match your drive, and that's one of your, like you said, 7 priorities,
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be a priority. And it was
Right.
the same for me. Like my ex-husband, amazing guy. We grew up with different backgrounds. My dad's an entrepreneur, so that was always like very possible for me. He grew up with a different
Right.
childhood. He just wanted stability and security. So different kinds of personality, different kinds of background growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Mm-hmm.
me, reaching my fullest potential is my priority in life. And I
Mm-hmm.
want a partner who will support me with that, because what happened was, he even said to me, I feel like you're dragging me along. I would
Right.
go to personal growth seminars and listen to new ideas and podcasts and things like that, and I would just talk my ear off, because his ear off, but because I loved it and I was so excited. But for
Right.
him, that was something he almost had to put up with, or
Right.
he was always challenging, and you know challenging that. And if you're an ambitious woman, and that's a masculine trait, you need to find somebody who's almost more masculine than you, but you still need to
Mm-hmm.
bring your feminine game to the table, because he's not going to want, a straight man is not going to want to date a guy who's going to be like the man,
Right.
another man
I
in the
think the
relationship, right?
masculine and feminine energy has to fluctuate to an extent. Like, for example, I am always in my masculine feminine when I'm working, but when I get out of my studio, I have to switch into my feminine energy so then my husband can feel more empowered. Now, having said that, you know, I believe that sometimes women look for a project in a man. They see
Yeah.
something in a man that like, and they see all the things that they don't
Yes.
like, and they feel, I can change him, I can shape him,
Project.
I can do
Mm-hmm.
something. For what you were saying before, in men, look at a woman and that's what they like. Period. They want that
Yeah.
woman to stay like that. But
Stay
there
like
is
that.
also a third group of women, I think that, and I'm just talking to women because the majority of my audience are women, but there is a group of women that are okay with sacrifice, in quote, that drive, because they are business women. They're always in their masculine energy, and they feel like, I'm going to be the successful one. I'm going to be the money maker one. I'm going to be the one that runs the business. And my husband is more into the feminine energy. So he's going to be the stay at home dad. He's going to be the one building shelves. So this is going to be the one that is going to take care of, picking up and dropping the kids in school while I'm working, while I'm, creating this empire that allows us to have the lifestyle that we want. So I think every case is kind of different, right? But the important thing is to be okay with yourself and not just do something expecting that that project that you choose as a partner eventually is going to become whatever it is that you want him to become. I think that if from the get-go you come to terms with the fact, okay, and I always put this as an example, don't expect a pint to be a gallon. And I'm not saying that a
Mm-hmm.
gallon is more or a pint is less. I'm saying that one has more capacity than the other one. So if you are
Yeah.
in a relationship and you choose that person to be your partner, whoever it is, to be always aware of the capacity of that partner and not expect that partner to be or become somebody that he's just simply not capable to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're already giving you everything they got, and you are not happy because your expectations are in the gallon, and that person is never going to be a gallon, right?
100%. That's a really good explanation. And I guess back to that third group of women who are the breadwinners, they're the ambitious one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and absolutely, if that's the agreement in the relationship, that's awesome. I think where that could potentially, have some friction is that if she feels like she has to lead the relationship all the time. That's how I felt in my first relationship. We were
Right.
both making money. We were just dating. It was just out of college, out of university. So, we weren't living together or anything. But at the end of the day, most women want to be cared for and nurtured from their partner, have that
Mm-hmm.
leadership of the relationship with their partner, so
Mm-hmm.
she can hang up her jacket at the office, come
As
home,
soon
and
as she
also
walks home. Right.
exactly, and um and I've been told by men as well, like the main thing that they want is, even the only thing that they want, is to make their woman happy.
Right.
And a lot of the time, if we're so much in our masculine energy, we're achieving, we're doing great, we're the leader in our business, in our careers. When we
Mm-hmm.
come home and we apply that same energy, strategy, and behavior at home, he's not going to be able to be in his masculine. He'll shrink down to the box that
Right.
you put him in as well. And he's not going to step up to that. And then you'll be like, oh, do I have to do everything myself? I told you to do this. I told,
Exactly.
man, that
You
that is
totally nail it.
horrible. Right?
You
Because he
totally
doesn't
nail
want to
it.
hear you
Yeah.
nagging,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't want to have to tell him what to do like a child.
But you're
And
training him to do that.
right,
And then you're
right.
complaining. So you want to run, you want to drive the car, you want to make the decisions because you're making more money and you want to be the one that chooses everything. But then when you
Yep,
turn around and say, how come you didn't do A, B, and C?
yep.
It's
You didn't give
because
him
you
space.
didn't empower me to do it.
Yes,
Listen,
yes,
I'm Latin. I can change any bulb. I can pull an engine apart. I can do a lot of things that, a lot of women probably don't even have interest in doing. But
right.
if my tire is low, I'm going to go to my husband and I'm going to tell him, can you help me? Because that is
Yes.
his
That's
function. He's wired to
totally
be the
good.
savior,
Yep,
the hunger, the one that goes and hunt, the one that,
yep.
fix the problem.
It's evolution. Yep,
Many
biology.
times I have to say that to him. I just want to vent. You don't need to fix anything because it's
Yes.
hard, They want to fix everything. So sometimes I have to
Yep.
say, babe, I just need you to listen to me. I don't need you to fix it. I don't need you to get
Yeah.
me something that I lost. I'm just venting that I lost something and I'm frustrated about it. But you
Yeah.
totally nail it in the fact that the women that are more alpha, to label them somehow, even though labeling is not nice, but to call them some, they're
Yeah.
more alpha. They also need to learn to take a step back and allow the man to
Yes.
be a man and to
Be a
feel
man.
like a man,
Yes.
even if he's a stay-home dad, even if he's the more in touch with his feminine energy. Always empower him to feel that he's still the man and you still
Yes.
need him and you still want him to
Yes.
protect you, because at the end of the day those are our roles, and doesn't
Yeah.
make you less of a woman or less successful because you are allowing your partner to be in control.
To
you
help
know
you.
I
Yeah.
love to be pursued. Can I take care of myself? 100%. But I want my husband to feel like he's seducing me, he's loving me, he's having the
Yes.
initiative to have that intimacy, because that's just how men are wired. And if we don't allow him to play that part, we kind of
Yes.
belittling them and they
That's when
resent
he
that.
walks away. Yeah.
He walks away to look somewhere else for that feeling of
100%.
manhood, and probably he's still going to be doing a lot of things for this other woman. But if that other woman empower him to feel like a man, that's it, because that's all he's looking for, right?
Yes. 100%. It's like those times when I'm like, why does he go for that woman who's like, acts all dumb or less than who she is,
In
and she's
despair.
playing those games, and I hate that game playing, but
Mm,
it works. And you, as a strong woman, you're like, damn, that sucks. Like, why does it happen like that? But
right,
if you just take it back to exactly what you said, like the biology, the evolutionary mechanics of what men are wired to do,
right.
they and like all humans, we want to feel needed, we want to feel like we're wanted. And because we're so, alpha, we're Gen X, we're Gen Y, we're used to taking care of ourselves. If we don't allow people, men in our life, to contribute to us, they're going to
Mm-hmm,
be like, well, she doesn't need me. What am I doing here? I'm just the helper at home, or I'm the slave, or I'm just the unpaid labor, or whatever he would start thinking, and go, I'm going to go towards somebody who needs me. And she may act helpless or whatever, but at least he gets the ego stroke. At least he gets to feel needed. So it's not
mm-hmm,
about manipulation or game playing. It's really truly allowing people to contribute to us, and
right.
just letting go and just being okay with other people trying to do stuff for us. And yeah, they make mistakes, and yeah, they fail and they screw up, and it may
It's
not be the
okay.
way we want
Oh
it
my
to be.
gosh.
Yes.
You know how many times
Right.
I look at my husband doing something that I know I am more,
I know.
easier for me, and I'm
Yes.
dying because I'm like, you have to, try to move it this way. And I'm like, oh, but I
The other
let him
left.
do it because,
Yeah.
I know that, first of all, he's trying. And second of all, that's his role.
Yeah.
It is important for them to feel acknowledged, to feel admired, to feel look
Yes.
up to. How many
Yeah.
times we see those
Respected.
couples that they are together, yes, respected for a long period of time, and then they break up, and 3 months later, he's with somebody else and get married in a month. And the person that was
Yes.
with them for
Oh,
7, 8 years are like, but why he never
what?
married me? Because he never
Yeah.
felt enough. He
Yeah.
never felt that he could provide. And maybe the other
100%.
person is not as smart as you are, or as beautiful as you are, or as talented, or as successful, but is feeding him what he
Yeah.
needs to be fed. And
Yeah.
it works both ways. Women are the same way, but I think more with men. And we see that all the time. And I talk to my daughters because they're all now in ages where everybody's getting married, and sometimes there will be a couple, that broke up. And then 3 months later, this man is with somebody else. And
Yeah.
everybody's like, what? What
Yeah. Feels
happened?
shocking. Yeah.
He found what he was looking for. And he was
Yeah.
probably hoping for 7 years that girl was going to make him feel that way. And it never
Yeah.
happened. So they start focusing
Yeah.
on all the little things that annoy them, to break the relationship. But in reality, what he wants is get the heck out of there. And it's,
Mm.
I think, because we don't pay attention to the love language of our partners. When we pay
Yes.
attention to the love, how they receive love, then it's easier to love them. Because it really doesn't
Yeah.
take anything to just do little things, for our partner that
Yeah.
can make him feel better about themselves and feel that they are in the right place with the right person.
Yeah, so good. Everything you said is so good. And I want to add to that with my partner actually introduced this book. It's called Love and Respect, and it's a book that
Mm-hmm.
has, like, I don't know, like hundreds and hundreds of testimonials of couples, and he's a couples counselor or something. And the basic concept is that women need unconditional love, like all people need
Mm-hmm.
unconditional love, but that men need unconditional respect.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, and maybe as a society, we feel like respect needs to be earned. It's
Right.
like when you're in your corporate role, you need to earn the respect of your peers and colleagues, and so this idea really kind of shook me, because it's like, how can you give unconditional respect? It doesn't, it broke it defied every belief and every way of thinking that I had, because it was like, how can you give unconditional respect to somebody who may be doing the wrong thing, or maybe not doing the thing well enough or right enough? And it was such a huge learning lesson, because that's what they really need. They and it's almost like and it makes me, and this is going to be very polarizing, but it makes me think of, arranged marriages, or relationships where the woman may not have as much say in the relationship because
Mhm.
she has to respect her husband. And
Right.
so then
She has
it
to
makes me think,
pretend that respect the husband,
well, we
because
always want to.
in those kind of marriage is very hard for the woman. I have interviewed some women that had arranged marriages, and they were saying you have to pretend from the first day because you don't know
Yeah,
that person. So
yeah,
you are with that person because you fear what your family is going to say or do to you.
wow,
So that respect comes from a place of fear. I have to stay in this relationship and I have to be a good
yeah,
wife because that's what is expected. And it's so sad, that you have to
yeah.
shrink yourself to that. But you also have a book, right?
Yeah, that's right. I do have a book. It's called
Hmm.
How to Stop Dating and Be in a Committed, Effortless Relationship. This is a step-by-step guide for women who are ambitious and, want to find a relationship that grows with them, that actually suits and aligns with your vision and your life path. So it's
Hmm.
really and it has a couple of stories and case studies in there of how this has actually happened for my students and myself.
I love that. And I'm gonna have all the description of in the description of the show, I'm gonna have all your information and the links for your book and everything. And I'm so excited that you're here, Michelle. I really enjoy talking about this.
Me
Um,
too.
I think a lot of people in my audience are going to learn, even if they are in relationships, how to maintain and empower that relationship and have a happier relationship. I've been with my husband for 20 years and I'm still learning. I remember clearly one time one of my daughters came to me and she goes, Mom, you making him feel stupid. And it was like a shock for me because I would correct him or I would say how to do things or
Yes.
whatever. And what is the point? To make myself right? You know what? I'd rather be happy than being right. If I have to
Yeah.
just be quiet, be patient, and allow him to do things in his own timing, because that's gonna better my relationship. It's gonna make him happier, and because of that, he's gonna make me happier. Then it's not a deal breaker. We don't
That's so
have to
cool.
always be right. So I think in the process, we're learning what works with us. And if you really care about your relationship, a little bit of a shift and a little bit of a tweak here and there, it's all you need to have your happily ever after.
I love that. And thank you so much for sharing that, because that really opens up such a space for women to start having these conversations. It's the same. I also had to learn the same thing where, you know, I don't know where we get it from. Maybe it's from teachers at school or something like that, where we feel like if that's a little bit wrong, we've got to correct it. We've got to point it out. We've got to say it. It
Mhm.
could be just a um, Western culture that we always have to be as correct or politically correct
Mhm.
or whatever
Mhm.
is possible. And it's not okay to you know, make a blip or whatever sometimes. And I also had to learn that from my relationship. So if you are a strong woman who's in a relationship with a man who wants to be the man in your relationship, we have to curb that in ourselves and 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 really trust and that respect there that our partner is human. They'll make mistakes. They won't say things to the approval, the expectations of us, and to be okay with it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being in the show. I appreciate you. I love what you do. I'm gonna call you and pick your brain the next time that I have enough work in the road.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure everybody enjoys so much this talk.
Thank you so much. I'm so blessed and grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to the Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. If you like this episode, please write a juicy comment below and subscribe to my podcast. Remember, we can only fly if we embrace each other. Until next week, be happy, be safe, and be kind to yourself.